Imagine that when you read a book, you can't go back to the previous page. How carefully would you read it? The future. That's when you'll be sorry for everything you could have done today but didn't. Time is the only thing you can get more of, and yet you sell it dirt cheap. If you fuel your journey on the opinions of others, you are going to run out of gas. If you keep living in the past, don't be surprised when your future looks the same. You can spend years being patient with the wrong person and call it loyalty, when it's really just fear of starting over. If you wait until you're ready, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. May you find the courage to disappoint people who expect you to stay small. If you wait for something, all that happens is that you get older. At some point, you have to divorce yourself from doing the things that other people want from you. The greatest thing you can give yourself is freedom from what others think. If there's something you want to do in life, don't wait if you do. You might find 5 years have passed without you doing anything. What you don't change, you choose every day. Later often means never. Your obsession with finding happiness is what prevents its attainment. A happy life is not a life without stress. It's a life of meaningful stress. The time you kill does not die without avenging itself. Until you stop believing that happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are. You spend all your health initially for wealth, and then you spend all your wealth for one day of good health. You can either choose a happy, conventional, and stress-free life, or you can choose a very interesting but more difficult and meaningful life. You will only know true freedom when you no longer wish to impress anyone. Happiness is not for something you postpone for the future. It is something you design for the present. People ask what you do for a living so they can calculate the level of respect to give you. Happiness without control over your life is just temporary comfort. Don't ruin your health in order to earn money. You will end up spending your money to recover your health, and that is not reciprocal. Things rarely change for the better in your life unless you change them. Nobody ever wrote down a plan to be broke, fat, lazy, or stupid. Those things are what happen when you don't have a plan. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Motivation often comes after starting, not before. Quickest way to improve your life is to stop waiting for motivation and start building discipline. You will never change your life until you change something you do daily. You have two choices: evolve or repeat. If you keep carrying old bricks, you will keep building the same house. You will have to face problems all your life, and you can decide whether they will be the same ones over and over. Every time you choose fear over action, you bury your potential deeper. A painful clarity is better than the confusing hope that keeps you trapped. If you don't take risks, you will always work for someone who does. We avoid the things that we're afraid of because we think there will be dire consequences if we confront them. But the truly dire consequences in our lives come from avoiding things that we need to learn about or discover. Monopoly teaches you that if you don't take risks, you will end up paying rent to someone who did. Fear limits most people throughout their lives and permeates through all of their decisions. Do your best to control it, overcome it, and revel when you defeat it. The walls you've built to protect yourself are the same walls keeping you from growing. What we fear doing most is usually what we most need to do. There's no greater waste of time than justifying your actions to people who have a life you don't want to live. If you live for people's acceptance, you will die from their rejection. Best thing I ever did was learn how to move without the crowd. Stop asking people for directions to places they've never been. Stay away from people who think your growth is competition. We all love ourselves more than any other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. The people you think you need are usually the ones holding you back. When you stop trying to please everyone, you begin to understand who truly values you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. Sometimes you don't realize how bad your environment is until you leave. Bad company corrupts good character. Never take advice from someone who isn't where you want to be. The average of 5 is real. If you really want to know someone, look at the 5 people they talk to the most and spend the most time with. You spend your first 20 years worrying what people think about you. You spend your next 20 years swearing that you don't care what people think about you. You spend the next 20 years realizing that they aren't thinking about you. You need to hang out with people who fit your future, not your history. A toxic environment is more likely to change you than you change it. Whatever you do between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. pays the bills. And what you do between 5 p.m. and midnight builds your legacy. The cost of procrastination is the life you could have lived. Hard work doesn't always pay off. Learn to stop in time and understand whether you have turned into a slave. When you work for someone else, you have the right only to labor, not to the fruits of your labor. Playing it safe is the most dangerous thing you can do in life. Don't burn your opportunities for temporary comfort. You grow mentally weak when your life is too comfortable. It takes a long time to realize how truly miserable you are, and even longer to realize it doesn't have to be that way. The things you own end up owning you. Sometimes the place you are used to is not the place you belong. Normality is a paved road. It's comfortable to walk on, but no flowers grow on it. Choosing comfort over discomfort does not lead to a comfortable life. When you're working for someone else's dream, you sacrifice your own. If you're worried about the cost of going for it, you should see the price of staying exactly where you are. Don't fear failure. Fear being in the exact same place next year as you are today. Big outcomes come from decisions most people avoid. If they don't have what you want, don't listen to what they say. There's no greater waste of time than justifying your actions to people who have a life you don't want. You will have to make very practical decisions about what you want from life and what you're willing to give up. And if you don't make them, then life will make them for you. All we get is time and choices. Your life is just a series of decisions you have to live with. Life gets better once you stop assuming you will always have more time later. Be proactive. Each day should be a step forward. One of the greatest prisons people live in is the fear of what other people think. Action breeds more clarity than thought. So you can't think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into one. You'll never feel ready, because ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. One day, you will wake up and there won't be any more time to do the things you've always wanted. Do it now. If you don't control your attention, someone else will monetize it. Gain control of your time, and you will gain control of your life. If you stay too long in a bad situation, you'll forget it's bad and get comfortable, while the best years of your life just pass you by. Focus your attention on creating the life you want instead of distracting yourself from your current life. If you look at the people in your circle and don't get inspired, then you don't have a circle, you have a cage. You cannot be afraid to disappoint people. You have to live the life you want to live. Your life isn't yours, if you constantly care about what others think. Always move in your own direction, not according to society, friends, or family. People don't think about you as much as you imagine they do. We are defined by what we give up, what we sacrifice, and what we reject. You are merely a reflection of the preferences and demands of the people around you. If you don't decide who you are, other people will decide for you. Your respect at most places is directly proportional to your bank balance. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. A young man should not chase constant vacations, but build a life he doesn't need to escape from. Time is your most valuable resource. There are no refunds or second chances for the time you waste. Comfort is the worst addiction and a cheap ticket to depression. If you don't build your own dream, someone will hire you to build theirs. Chains are most effective when you convince the prisoner that they are jewelry. A salary is the drug they give you to forget your dreams. Just because there is a race doesn't mean you have to run. The only person who's ever going to remember your hard work is you. Not this company, not your boss, only you. It's not worth killing yourself over a company that'll replace you in 2 days if you're gone. If you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan, and what they have planned for you is not much. The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. What if I told you that 10 years from now, your life would be exactly the same? I doubt you'd be happy. Sometimes you mix the past with the present, and your happiness disappears. You can be honest and still be misunderstood. That doesn't mean you were wrong. The longer you stay where you're not respected, the more you start negotiating your own worth. If your income depends entirely on your time, you are one problem away from losing everything. You like taking care of people because it heals the part of you that needed someone to take care of you. You can forgive someone and still choose never to trust them again. The more you explain your pain to someone who doesn't change, the more you train them to ignore it. You can spend years being right about someone and still lose because you stayed. You don't always pay for your mistakes immediately. Sometimes you pay when you can least afford it. You can outgrow a situation long before you have the courage to leave it. Some people don't cross your boundaries loudly. They slowly move them until you forget where they were. The longer you delay a hard decision, the more expensive it becomes. A friend is one who tells you the truth, not one who agrees with everything you say. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You need to understand yourself enough to stop chasing validation. Everybody talks about cutting people off, but nobody really talks about the grief that comes with having to stand firm on that decision, knowing it's not what you wanted, but what was necessary for your well-being. Quitting your worst habit will change your life faster than starting your best habit. Your life isn't yours if every decision gets made based on what others might think. Most routines aren't designed to move you forward. They're designed to keep things predictable. A quiet life can still be a dishonest one if it's built on things you don't believe in. It's not that you don't have time. It's that your time is already committed to things you never chose. Most people don't choose a direction. They just keep saying yes until their life is no longer theirs. The moment your decisions are driven by avoiding discomfort, you stop building and start maintaining. If you can't walk away from your life for a few months without everything collapsing, you don't own it. It owns you. The longer you avoid a truth, the more power it has over your decisions. If someone watched you for a week, would they believe you're serious about your goals? The more you rely on potential, the longer you stay in a reality that doesn't work. You don't drift into a better life. You drift into whatever you tolerate daily. One day, you'll realize that every dream you had died because you chose comfort over effort, and there will be no one to blame but yourself. That regret will follow you forever. What you call stability is often just a life you stopped questioning. You don't notice how much of your life is borrowed until you try to make a decision that's truly yours.